Hey guys, this is Guido. I'm a Muppet. I forgot to start the recording, so you missed the introductions, but this is my interview with TrobsMonkey and myself, so enjoy.
Ages and ages ago, but it wasn't really set in stone in any way. It was more like, hey, randomly give out tanks to people who are doing content. So yeah, I've been a that was my first content invite to do something was the T54 Mod 1 when it came out, and they sent me a forum PM, not a Discord message, not an email, nothing like that, a forum PM.
No kidding.
And it's a good thing I checked my forum PMs because I would have had no idea otherwise.
So were you streaming or YouTube content?
Streaming. I'm really terrible at edited videos. I'm just the worst. I have an incredible amount of ADHD, and so sitting here and editing and putting things, oh god, it just sounds like death. But sitting live and like this and doing something, I love this.
Yeah.
I can do live all day, but the editing process kills me. And if you happen to see my YouTube channel, well, there's a reason there's not a lot of videos out there. I just, man, it's so hard for me to sit down and do the editing. That's the biggest problem. It's just rough.
But when you do, it's good content. So it's got to be one of those things like if it's the thing you want to concentrate on, you can make it happen.
That's essentially what it is. Yeah. I go through the focus thing pretty hard with ADHD. So if it's something I enjoy, I'll sit down and do it. I did a stupid video this weekend to advertise my Discord.
I saw it.
I got it set up. I filmed it. I edited it all in the span of like 2 hours, which is a speed run for me.
Yeah.
So I normally am not that guy. These guys who can do daily YouTube videos, I don't know how you do it, man. I just can't.
Yeah. I'm not great at the editing either, but mine's all one take, and you get what you get. So if there's a mistake in it, I don't worry about it too much,
Yeah, I don't stress about mistakes, but like I've wanted to start doing more like highlight reel videos and that sort of thing. But the problem is okay, so I did a stream. Now I have to go find all the highlights, and after like the 5th highlight, my brain's going, okay, this sucks. Let's do anything.
Anything else?
Anything else? Like, let's go clean. That sounds more fun than looking through this. And so yeah, it's a fight every time when I'm trying to do that.
So you're more Twitch then, right?
Much more. I'd much rather be doing live content any day of the week.
Yeah. You're not just tanks, though, right? You do some other things, I believe.
Yeah, so I start off as tanks, as most people, and generally when you start streaming, you stick with a single game. That's pretty typical. I just happened to be heavily involved in the Watt Labs community back in 2013. Yeah, roughly. And I had no idea I was a unicum or anything, and I just sort of drifted onto the Watt Labs community, and people started asking me like, "Hey, do you stream?" I'm like, "What the hell is streaming?" And I got introduced to Twitch, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "You should stream so we can see how you play." I'm like, "What? Why?" Then that's when I found out about, oh, I'm actually good. Okay. Because I really didn't stress about it. I was just more in the Watt Labs community because I played with a bunch of the guys. So I was like, oh, people like, okay, let's try this out. And that's how Twitch got started. And
so that's kind of a different way to do it, though. Most people kind of go, oh, I think I'm pretty good. I think I'll stream. You actually had people come to you and go, hey, you're good. You should stream.
You should stream, yeah.
And you're like,
I mean, back then there was only a handful of tank streamers. I mean, real small handful. Like most of the guys who everyone knows nowadays, they started after me, and they just back in the day, it was basically me, Yonkers, and Anfield. That was it. There weren't a lot of other streamers around, and even then, like it basically was Anfield. Like he was the guy. Like nobody else watched on NA. Like Yonkers had some viewers, I had some viewers, but Anfield had almost everybody. Right. So yeah, it was, and I did it just for fun. I was like, if you really want to see it, hardest. Oh god, yeah, and there was hardest too, but that's a whole other thing. I mean, you can actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, I think the oldest video I have on my YouTube channel is like my very first stream. It's one of my very first streams, way back in August of 2013. And I'll be honest, it's bad. It's not good.
That's right.
I'm quiet the whole time. There's nothing fancy going on, which isn't a big deal. I still don't do anything much fancy when it comes to my stream.
Yeah.
But there's nothing fancy going on. It's more just me casually talking about my gameplay, and it's
yeah. Whatever happened to Anfield?
The last time I saw him streaming, he was streaming Black Desert Online.
Moved on to other games.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to expand my repertoire. I play Apex Legends a lot because I like the game. Not a fan of the current season, but I like the game. I've been playing the Frostpunk and its DLCs. If you like real-time strategy games, city builders that are challenging, oh dear God.
What's it called?
Frostpunk.
Frostpunk, okay.
Essentially, the world has frozen in like late 1800s, early 1900s, steampunk England. And you're trying to survive the freezing of the world around these big generators that create heat for your people. And it's wild.
And it's an RTS, actually.
It's an RTS. So it's like a city builder, like City Skylines or SimCity or something like that.
Right.
But it's still, you have control. You get to assign your people out where they work. You have to worry about their food. You have to worry about their heat. You have to worry about the supplies to build more buildings. Lots of events happen during it, and it punishes you. Like the new DLC came out, and my first playthrough of the new DLC, I lost 40 colony members in like the first week. And that's a lot of workers. I needed them. And they're gone now. So in the game, it does not let go. It just pushes and shoves on your neck, and it goes, you gotta get up. You're like, I don't want it now.
Yeah, it's one of those hardcore ones where if you like a little abuse, that's all right for you.
Yeah, and I mean, and I only play in the regular difficulty, and it beats the crap out of me. The guy who actually does the announcer's voice in the game is another streamer. His name's Jay Britton. And he's a voice actor. He's done voices in a bunch of games. But I actually found out. I've actually found him because he came into my stream on one of his games he was playing. But I did the same thing. I went to his channel the other day. I was like, you should really play Frostpunk. And he got a copy of the game, the DLCs and everything, because I mean he's the voice, so why not? And I was like, dude, you should play it. There's an easy mode. They have difficulty sliders. He's like, oh, I could play it then. I'm like, yeah, trust me, I've stared at that difficulty slider more than once going, no one will notice. Just slide into easy.
Trobs, that's me. I just, right when I started, I grab it and I go, vroom, easy.
Yeah. And I don't feel bad about it. Like, I love playing a challenging game. Cyberpunk's going to come out later this year. I'm going to crank that thing to max difficulty, and I'm going to die 1,000 times, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to some games, I'm like, this isn't worth the stress. Easy mode.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So what brought you to tanks?
Funny story. Way back when. So I was in college. I started college in 2009. Let me take a step back. I was in the military from 2002 to 2006. I was in limbo from 2006 to 2008. I worked a bunch of odd jobs. I got fired from my only job I've ever been actually fired from in that time period. And then in 2009, I started college. So 2009, 2010, I had a group of friends. We ate lunch most days. And one day we were sitting there, and generally during lunch, we just go around, search the internet, whatever. And the only banner ad in the history of my life I clicked on was a World of Tanks ad.
Do you know how many times I've heard that? I have heard that multiple times. Yeah.
I was so surprised. I was like, this doesn't look like a scam.
Yeah.
And my buddy said, he's like, you should click it. I'm like, man, if I get a virus on my school computer, I'm going to be so bad. So I'm like, all right, let's click it. It pops up the World of Tanks side. I'm like, oh, this is a legit video game.
Right.
Oh. Okay. So I signed up for the open beta, which hadn't opened yet. This was like the pre-registration. So I signed up for it, and beta opened, and I started playing way back in the original beta. And I just sort of stuck with it because I thought it was fun. I had a friend I used to play with all the time. My ex-wife and I used to play all the time. So, I mean, I played for years prior to the game launching. I enjoyed it. I mean, I still legitimately enjoy World of Tanks. And so I just sort of stuck around with it. It's always been like, I think I've uninstalled it twice. I took a hiatus after the IS-6 marathon grind, and I took a break after something else.
Yeah.
But I've had it installed in one form or another for a long time, and I mean, since I've been streaming, I've never taken it off my computer because it eventually I always end up going back and playing it because it's just I'm good at the game and it's fun. I mean, I make it fun. I play the T-49 with the derp. I make the game fun.
Right. It is what you make of it. I just interviewed. I did Damien a while back from Damien's Gaming, and I just did Talk to Me Goose. And when you said fun, that's something that's come to the forefront for me recently. What a great attitude, and it's weird that you forget that it's supposed to be fun.
Oh, dude, I tell people constantly. I'm like, look, guys, you go out to Reddit and every other post is somebody bitching about the game. You go in the forums, you go anywhere, and people are like, World of Tanks isn't fun, blah. Well, what do you play? Well, I'm grinding like every line at once, and the game's rigged, blah, blah. Okay. Why are you grinding every line at once? Well, I want all the tanks. No, you don't. You really don't. Trust me. Let me give you a list. And I'll be like, IS-7, 430U, like, just name all 5 tier 10. Go for those. Everything else you can ignore. What do you mean? Those tanks are good. Everything else is terrible. Don't worry about anything else. I'm like, why? Well, you'll have more fun if you're playing good tanks.
Yeah.
Then you can worry about playing bad tanks.
But I'm that guy that had to unlock every tank, and I did it. And I did it.
I have a lot of tanks unlocked, and I mean a lot of tanks unlocked. Yeah. I have all but 3 tier 10s, and I want to say they're all already unlocked. I mean, I have just a wall of unlocked tanks, but I won't play certain tanks because they're just not fun. Like,
yeah, you're right.
This is a hilarious one because I say this and I always get people going, huh? What? The TDP, the tier 10 Skoda, I suck at tank. I have I want to say 2k damage in it at a tier 10. My damage is low, my survival rate's low, my win rate's low. I hate that tank. Despise it. Tier 9, great. I even did good in the tier 8.
Yeah.
But the tier 10, awful in. There's nothing I can do right. Now, it doesn't help that I'm fighting 430Us and 907s and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I'm trying to hold down against tanks that I could not hold down against. So, yeah. I don't play that tank unless I have to. I'm doing the 279 missions. I pull that one out occasionally because I need to go steal kills for a mission.
Right.
But otherwise, I don't want to play that tank. That tank's boring. And so, yeah, I stick around. I try to play fun. I play a lot of the T49. If you guys haven't seen me play the T49, that's what I do. I play the T49. It is. I have 2,300, I think, battles of the T49, all with the derp cannon. It's 3 marked. I didn't even run camo on it for a long time. I just ran straight up, come at me, bare metal, we're going to fight.
So how happy were you when they didn't change the HE?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was contemplating quitting. I was like, I might actually leave this game. Yeah. If they take my T49 from me, no. Oh.
All right, we got a question. We got a question from the crowd, man. Where does TrobsMonkey nickname come from?
So when I was a kid, my older brother, 7 years older than me, started calling me Trobs. My name is Robert, but he started calling me Trobs. Just as an annoyance, not even as trying to make a nickname, just older brother things.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I was, 2nd, 3rd grade when this started? So, I mean, I was little.
Yeah,
and I'm like, my name's Robbie. It's not Trobs. And it's not going to stop me.
Of course that made it go on further.
Yeah. So then his friends got involved. And so his friends started saying it to me. And then my parents started. And after that, it was all over. So I grew up as Trobs. If I hear my first name, if someone says Rob or Robert or anything like that, I get scared because I don't hear my first name.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so I've been job hunting and they'll say, "Okay, Rob." I'm like, because I'm just not used to it. It was either Trobs or my last name when I was a kid. It was my last name in the military. It's been my last name in most jobs. They just end up drifting to my last name because there's another Robert on the team.
Right.
So to hear someone say my name, it's upsetting. My wife's the same way. We go by our online nicknames around each other, and people think it's weird. But dude, we don't call each other by real names unless there's a problem. So anyway, so that's how I got the Trobs part. Was growing up in it. I didn't want it. It just became a part of me, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
The monkey thing. So way back in the day, I went by another name, and I used to work at Walmart when I came out of high school. Before I went in the military, I had basically 6 months to burn. And so I was going into MEPS and everything for the military. Well, I worked for Walmart in high school, got out of high school, and just transferred stores. New store, they're like, we really don't need you, but we'll put you outside and you're going to push carts. Okay, whatever. I'm just wasting time. So my job was one of the biggest Walmarts in the state of Kansas country. It's just a massive Walmart. It's huge. They had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shopping carts. And so we had a team that our job all day, every day, was to go out, get the carts, bring them in. That's all it was because there were just so many.
Yeah.
So the job was easy, of course, and it was hot and miserable because Kansas summers are pretty hot and miserable.
Yep.
And so I pretty much like, you know what? We're basically cart monkeys. Our job, we're just little trained monkeys. We got to go hop out there, grab carts, and run in there. And so that's what we started calling ourselves. So I played as a character for a while.
Just monkey. Or cart monkey.
Cart monkey. So
okay,
I actually competed in that same time period as cart monkey way back in, what was the early days of esports. This is 2002 time period. But I was actually on an esports team for Battlefield 1942.
Oh, I loved that game.
We won game. We won 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
And I was actually a sergeant in the Art of Warfare clan. They're still around. Ta is still around. I actually ran into a squad of theirs the other day playing Apex.
I remember them, actually. I remember that clan. You remember that? You remember that game? Because of the way the pixels worked, you could get into certain spots on the terrain and like disappear.
Yeah.
And you had to know what it looked like, and then you could tell a guy was there, and then you could find his head, and then you could pixel snipe his head.
Yep. No, we practice strats like that.
Yeah. And
just because the way the rendering worked, you could
that D-Day map where they could be up on the thing and people would get a sniper and they'd go back and forth, and you just time that and pixel snipe their head. Oh, that game was amazing.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that game. So but we ended up winning a couple tournaments with them, which was cool. That was my first esports for it. I didn't win anything for it. I mean, this is again early esports day. This was more bragging rights than anything. So so we didn't get anything, but I was like, all right, cool. We won tournaments. And then I sort of stayed with Cart Monkey for years, and then as I got out of the military, and something a lot of people don't realize until they go through it. Your late 20s, you sort of like have a second awakening about yourself because you've gotten through whatever you've gone through in your early 20s, whether it's college, the military, whatever, and then you're like, man, I'm actually an adult. Like, I can't deny it anymore. I'm an adult. Yeah. So you start looking at yourself a bit, and I'm like, who am I? What am I doing? I had that existential, like, oh man, who is Robert? Oh God. And so I started going by Trobs more often. So my online nickname became Trobs.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I shouldn't abandon my cool past name I use. And so I just slammed the two together, and TrobsMonkey it became, and I've been that way ever since. So I try to get it in any game I play. And if I've had it stolen in one game ever, and I wrote the devs and said, hey, this is my name, linked my Twitch, linked my YouTube, my Twitter. I'm like, I've used this name for years. Can you take it from this guy? And I got the name.
Isn't it interesting that someone came up with that name? Because that's a fairly unique name.
I think they were trying to park the name and take it from me, but I wanted to make sure I got my name from.
Yeah. So what service were you in? I know that people have various levels of personal information they want to give out. So.
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking. I was in the Air Force.
Okay.
I was a radar mechanic, essentially. I fixed a big radar in an airplane. Airplane lands, I fix the radar. Airplane flies, I don't go with it. Like,
so back shop kind of thing.
Yeah. If you say Air Force and you say airplane, people assume you fly. I did not fly, and my job was even misleading because the first word in my job title was airborne. I didn't fly. No. the radar flew. We did not.
Yeah. So
they even asked one time, like, any of you guys want to go on a flight? Nope.
No, thank you. So yeah, I'm assuming it was the AWACS then.
Same vein, yeah.
Yeah.
Same vein.
E8 or something.
Yeah, I had no desire to fly on those crappy 707s. Those things were awful.
They are so old. They are so old. So what's your community like, man, as far as so you've probably branched out into new games and things. What's the plan for Trobs in the future? What's the community? What are you trying to...
Well, right now, I mean, I try to focus on a community of, like, I try to make people realize, the world is a lot bigger than you realize. The world is not this small, isolated thing that people like to pretend it is. We don't live in a bubble. No matter how much you want to act otherwise, you don't live in a bubble. You have to interact with other people. You have to deal with the people of the world. You have to deal with the guy down the street. You need to be more than your little insular experience. So my community is very welcoming. We have people from all over the world. One of our most active members is from Australia. Another one of our very active members is from Scotland. So, I mean, we have people scattered from various places in the world. And, I tried for a while and I decided it's just not my thing. to be the like overly positive, blah blah blah. No, I'm an optimist. I believe the best is going to happen all the time. But I don't like the bubbly level of positivity where you're like, that's not realistic. I like to keep it realistic. So realistically, good things happen, but occasionally they don't. So that's more my focus. I try to keep it positive. Like, yeah, listen, we're gonna go out and win, and then we lose. Okay, well, we lost. What did we do well? Type idea. That's what I always strive for. Make sure people realize, hey, you know what? We're trying our best. Like this year, we're trying our best in 2020. 2020 has words about it, but we're trying our best.
Right.
So I'm trying to keep it. I try to keep the community the same thing. We're trying our best. As for me, I've been trying to branch out my content lately. If you guys haven't seen, I have a wonderful video out of my YouTube that I just did. As you may or may not be aware, Discord changed their partnership rules recently, and I am an old Discord partner. I got partnered on Twitch 4 years ago, and 4 years ago I got partnered on Discord at the same time. Discord was really new then.
I didn't even know Discord had partnerships, to be honest.
Yeah.
You just blew my mind. I had no idea.
Yeah. So, 4 years ago, they essentially gave partnership to any Twitch partner. I actually got denied my partnership on Discord and then got approved in a different email, but had none of the benefits. I was like, okay, what's going on? They're like, oh, well, our system scanned and didn't see you as partnered, and then you got partnered, but the problem is you were already locked out, so they had to unlock me, and it was a whole process. It was crazy. Because because they literally told me, like, we want to partner you, but, it doesn't say you're partnered. Like, okay, we'll work on it. So yeah, like I did this ridiculous advertisement for my Discord channel or my Discord server. If you guys haven't seen it, it's well worth the watch. That's more like what I'm trying to get into is not surreal stuff, but just kind of silly videos. I'm gonna try and start doing the same thing again. I hate editing, so it's hard for me to sit down and do it. I actually have to go do a video whenever we're done. I normally would be getting on and streaming it pretty soon, but I have a video I have to do. Like, it has to be done today.
I love it, Trobs. So, I have this plan, but I hate the plan.
I hate the plan. It's the worst. So I have to do it though.
Yeah.
And so it's essentially forcing myself to do something I hate. So hopefully I can learn to do it better. Yeah.
I find that it's the not knowing how to do it that makes you not like it. And I'm not telling you anything, but when you get going, sometimes you're like, all right, I'm over that hump, the painful hump, and now we can start moving.
I suck at guitar. I am awful at guitar. But you know what the coolest feeling in the world is? Playing a song on guitar.
Yeah, and getting close.
You feel so cool. It's not a matter of feeling good or bad. You feel cool.
Yeah.
I can play 2 songs on my guitar. That's it. Neither of them are hard, but I can play them, and they have backing tracks I can play along with. I feel awesome doing that. When I put out that Discord ad, it felt awesome to see it out there.
Yeah.
But man, the process.
I got to about 1/4 of the Beatles' "I Love You More." I just love that song and the acoustic stuff, and I could get 1/4 of it, and then I gave up. I'm like, I just don't have that music brain. It ain't happening.
Yeah, I grew up in music. I grew up in the church. My dad's a minister, so I learned to sing. I had learned a bunch of instruments, yada yada, and then I basically went 15 years without touching any of them. So it just all fell on my ears, and I know how to sing still. I still have the music theory bits in there, but the training of everything's gone. So it's a nice hobby to reteach myself. Plus, again, it feels awesome to play. Like I bought a little box just so I can hook up to my mixer here and just jam out, and it's like, man, it's so relaxing. Like, I know I'm never gonna be Jimi Hendrix level good, but if I can play a few cover songs or something, I will totally be okay with that.
That's my favorite thing to do on an evening now that I'm older and I don't go to clubs or stuff like that. But if I can go to a small tap room or a pub or something, and they've got a local artist, it doesn't even matter if they're amazing. Usually they're fine, or even sometimes they're amazing. But just sit there and listen to somebody, just one guitar, one person, maybe a couple people, and it's just nice. Sit down with a beer and listen to some local artist do their thing. That is one of my favorite evening things to go do.
There was this place near us that closed mostly due to the pandemic, but it was called the Crab Shack. I don't remember the full name, but it's but anyway, my wife loves it. It's simply boil bag place. You put potatoes, sausages, crab legs, crawdads, whatever. Throw them in there, boil it, eat your food. Well, one of the very first times we went there was this guy there, and he was just playing cover songs on his guitar. And most people weren't giving him the time of day, but I was sitting there, and I appreciate music. I love music. I'm very limited in my I don't like this range. Like if it's got a decent beat, I'll probably bob my head along to it because I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Not bad. I mean, I may not even like the song, but if it's got a decent beat, I'll listen along to it. So that's basically what we did. So I sitting there bobbing along to the guy, just listening as we're eating and talking and everything. And we leave at the same time he's been packing his stuff up. And as we go to get in the car, he's like, "Hey man, thanks for listening. It was really cool." I'm like, "You're welcome, dude." I was like,
you made us stay, man. You made us stay.
Oh, dude, I was like, that's that feeling I get when people are like, "Dude, thanks for streaming. I love watching." Like,
exactly. It's that day like 5 people showed up finally and watched for an hour, and you're like, "Oh wow, okay." Somebody.
I have a screenshot in one of my folders. I don't know if the date's still on it. I'm kind of curious, but it was the very first time I hit 50 viewers on Twitch, and I took a screenshot of it because I was like, "Oh, there's so many people." So I was just blown away, shocking, and occasionally I'll bring it out. I'm sitting here trying to find. I don't know. I have so many stupid pictures in here. I'll occasionally try to find it and just be like, "Oh yeah, this is where I was." Keep moving forward, just to try and always remind myself. Keep trying.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I did find a picture of me in high school for my prom. That's terrible. No one wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
No one wants to see that. Yeah, no, that feeling though, the feeling of that gratitude feeling essentially that someone gives you, and that feels so good when I'm streaming. And every time somebody mentions that they liked my content or something, just like, yeah, that feels nice. That feels real nice.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. All right, so here we go, man. You ready for this?
Sure.
Here's the hard questions. Artie.
I'm sorry. I'll tell you what I think of Artie and the way that I finished my Chimera missions. I was on 2 missions to finish my Chimera. Do 8,000 damage, combined damage and assist, with French, Czech, etc. tanks. And then I had one do 6,500 damage with British, American tanks. Right? So I tried weeks ago in my Super Conqueror to get the 6,500 one. Super Conqueror is a great choice for tank. It farms really well. Can hold down, it can fight. It's a great tank to do it. And I've come close more than once in that tank. So I was like, we'll do that.
I got stuck on that one for a long time too.
So I was on that mission and I played, I want to say 3 nights in a row. And every single game in my Super Conqueror, I was getting ravaged by Artie. And I just mean ravaged. There was one match in particular on Serene Coast. I'm over in the corner, the 1-2 line corner fight area, which is brilliant for a Super Conqueror.
Absolutely, that's where you want to be. Yep.
And I kept getting Artied so much that an STB was able to sit with his hole exposed to me and farm me because I couldn't scoot forward the 3 feet to shoot his hole because my gun was just barely too high that all I needed was just roll forward and it would dip enough that I could shoot him. Yeah. And all I could do was sit there and just be like, and it happened for 3 straight days. And I was like, okay, well. And that happened the same thing, the French tank, every game, my French tank, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be a sneaky little scout. The moment I get lit, Artie. I'm like,
yeah.
So I finally had to turn on the anonymizer. 2 days. It took me 2 days to do the game, to do that mission with the anonymizer.
Okay,
and I got close. Really, really fast. I got close. I almost pulled in my first game for both both sets of missions. I was like,
so that's a good transition, man. Anonymizer. What do you think about that?
So I like the concept of it. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to do missions. I'm still getting RD'd relentlessly every battle. For those of you in chat or in the YouTube video that watch us later that don't know, I am a Unicum. I'm not great. I'm not going to be like, I'm a super. I'm a guy who plays the game for fun. I don't play straight stat padding tanks. I don't stick to strictly the good tanks and red light. No, I don't do that. I just go play the game, and I'm aggressive as hell. I will take my tank that should be nowhere near the front, and I'm parked right at the front going, let's go.
Guilty.
So, I don't know how I'm a Unicum. I just am. So, that being said, I like being able to get into a game and have the anonymizer off, and people go, hey, what's up, Trobs?
I agree. Yeah.
I'm like, hey, dude, how you doing? I love you guys. But I'm trying to do missions. I'm on the like very first German-Japan mission, which is like 3,500 damage 3 games in a row. The STB should be an expert at that mission, right?
Right, yeah.
Wrong. Artie says no.
Yeah.
Every game. I'm on a ridge. Nobody can stop me. Pew, pew, pew. Smack, 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 smack.
Yeah.
Not allowed to do it anymore. And I had to run away and go hide on the red line, and I can't be useful in the battle anymore. So, as much as I hate it, I need to use the anonymizer. Like,
So for you, it's more situational. You're saying for the missions, it's helping you out.
If I wasn't doing missions, I honestly wouldn't care.
Right.
But because I'm doing missions, it frustrates my gameplay. Like, I actually rage quit a stream last week because I was getting pounded. I had a 22% win rate in 10 games. Or 9 games.
Oh, you knew.
Win rate. It was a bad day. No matter what, I played my STB and I got wrecked. I played my STB. I'm sitting in a bush. Should be totally safe. A Sinlac of all game. The little tier 8, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
British light tank. Somehow spots my STB. I shoot him once, roll back, already tracks me, and I get hit by 3 TD shells before I can get back into cover. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't. No, and that was my entire day. That's how I played every game. And it wasn't like I was in bad positions. I was being too aggressive. No, I was being fairly pulled back. So I'm like, I got to farm damage. So I can't just.
And we're back in the garage.
I was like. But take away the missions. I mean, I'll complain about Artie at that point. But if it's not stressing me out over a mission, hey, whatever. But the moment I'm touching those missions, man, it just.
Have you mentioned it? You said I somehow got spotted. I've been having a lot of issues. I think obviously with the CVS thing.
It's the CVS.
Yeah, I'm going to places that are normally good, pretty much automatic. You can hide there, and like you said, all of a sudden you're spotted and you do disintegrate. And you're like, what? I don't know what just happened here.
Yeah, that CVS is brutal. I've been running it on my T49 because I have the what is it? Get average 2 spots mission for the American group.
So what are you doing to leverage it? Doing the same thing you do, or are you actually playing different? Because I can't figure out how to use it.
So I'm actually playing differently. So I am only running it currently on my T49 because it's pretty much the only scout I use. Now, obviously, since I'm doing the 279 missions, that may change. So like if I have to go do a scouting mission on another tank, like for instance, I have the very first Russian one is do average 2,000 assist damage.
Yeah.
Across so many games.
Right.
So like for that one, it'd be smart to use it too. Essentially, my T49 is a scout right now. I have the CVS on it, optics on it, and I'm running a vert stab just to make the gun a little bit better.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd run vents because just that little bit of improvement in spotting.
Yeah.
And the reason to do it is you max out your view range, and the moment you max out your view range, and anything past 425 or whatever, I don't remember the number.
It's burned through, right? Yeah, 445, I think.
Yeah, 440. I'm a terrible player. I don't remember jack squad.
I'm with you. It's one of these things. Looks about right.
Once you get past that, I mean, my scout is, or my T49. I want to say my view range is 540, close to, and then you throw the CVS on there. So I have all that reduction plus the CVS reduction. It's a pretty effective scout. My first game out on, oh God, what's the name of that map? Stupid map. Railroad in the water on one side, city in the northeast corner, big open water swamp in the middle. I don't remember the name now.
Oh,
it's not highway. It's one of the American maps. It's not Highway, it's the other one. But anyway, that map.
Live Oaks.
There you go, Live Oaks. That map, I played. It was the first game. I had reset the mission because I wasn't going to finish it. So reset the mission, and I ran in, and basically all I did was just play the field on the west side initially, just edge along the houses, spot the swamp, roll back up, killed a bat chat, got the tier 9 British light tank, got him killed, and then I just went and I literally sat. There's on the north spawn of the base, there's a little brick building to the south of their base, and it's got bushes along both sides. I drove myself up and I sat in that bush. I didn't fire. I didn't move. I just sat there.
Oh, the buildings that are back behind the cap, you can watch them approach.
To the south on the south side, you can see everything.
Right.
So I just sat there and I picked up a total of 7 assist kills in that game. Because they didn't know I was there. Now, eventually, they got smart and they came driving towards my bush, and then, that was dead. But up to that point, I mean, I got half my mission done in a single game. And I haven't played much since then, but I'm like, okay, so that's really good. Just, get 7 assist kills right out the gate. That's a pretty good start. So, that striving to... I set my T49 up for success, and since it's probably the best scout I have out of the American, Polish, and Swiss, that's definitely my best scout.
So are you actually playing it different, though, with CVS in mind, or you're just playing your best scout and letting the CVS do its thing?
I'm definitely playing it differently because since I'm more focused on, I don't need to deal damage in it. And since I'm not stressing about my win 8 numbers, I don't care about, oh, no, you got to go far. No.
Right.
So what I'm more doing is I'm looking for positions on every map I play. So at least on that one, that works really well. The other one was... oh God, what map am I thinking of? Karelia. So Karelia, I immediately rushed the hill, got in the bushes, and was trying to do it, just spotting everything I could there. Picked up a bunch of kills because I can just see guys that they have no chance of seeing me. So I'm playing very passive scouting whenever I can. Now I did get a Himmelsdorf in one of those, and that's a little more difficult to pull that mission off. But I mean, when you're not running into city maps, there's a lot of passive positions that you can get into, and if another scout challenges you, well, I have 500 some odd spotting and a CBS. I'm probably going to light you first. And of course, my T49, I have every relevant crew skill, so I have all the spotting skills, I have the camo skills. I mean, I'm a hard tank to find, too. So and I know everyone's like, oh, the T49's tall and it's not very good scout. Trust me, you put enough points into it, it becomes a pretty decent scout.
I did a lot of missions with it with the 90mm, actually, just based on how good of spotting it had.
Yeah, it's having good spotting in a tank. I mean, honestly, especially with the stupid wheelie boys running around, it really helps. If you can light those stupid wheelie boys up, especially early before they can get close to you, oh man!
You read my mind. Talk about wheeled tanks. What do you think?
Get rid of them.
Like no kidding, get rid of them, or nerf them.
I would not be sad if they were nerfed into the ground. My problem with them is it's along the same lines as my problem with most of the reward tanks. Well, really 2 of the reward tanks, let's be real. The EBR is too fast, too accurate, too hard to see, and shooting it doesn't really do anything unless you hit the hull. That is a terrible thing of balance. And this isn't even about like my performance against them, my performance as playing them, anything like that. It's simply a bad balance mechanic.
Right.
Every tank should have strengths and weaknesses, and that's what upsets me about a lot of tanks in the game. The 907 and the Chieftain, for instance. What are their weaknesses again?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep. So it's the same vein. The EBR is bad at what?
Right. Yeah. You might say, well, it can't bounce anything. It has no armor. But guess what? Guess what?
It essentially has extra armor. It gets spaced armor for no reason.
Well, and it's also got a lot of weird angles, so you get a lot of weird ricochets because it's just weird angles.
The number of times I have shot an EBR with my 183 and it just splashes the wheel, and so it only gets hit for like 300 damage, and I'm just sitting there going...
Now, to be fair, I have noticed the 90 and the 105 have been a little bit easier to kill because the change to the mechanics is slowing them down a little bit more. But the FL10 didn't get a nerf, did it? Right? Because it's
no. I had oh god, one of the scouting missions. I had an FL10. Thought he was cheeky. He came after my T49, It was on the what is it? The Great Wall map. Is it called Great Wall? I don't remember.
I think so. Empire's Border, I believe.
Empire's Border. There you go. So it's the Great Wall map. So I was on that map, and I ran up and scouted a bunch of stuff on the north side early. And so their little, like, we're going to go sneaky mid-push up the center. I spotted all of them, got a bunch of damage and assist and all that. And this FL10 was like, well, I know he's scouting. So he comes running over to me, blaps me twice. And I'm like, dude, I got my gun up. I haven't fired, and just ended his life. So, yeah, he's not easy to stop, but they're still squishy. Mm-hmm. And I am the anti-squish tank. So that's the only experience I've had with the FL10 since the patch. Because generally I don't see it. You don't see a lot of them. Even though I will say, even without the nerf to the other ones, if you wanted a really, really high quality premium, that's one of the ones to get, because that thing is so insanely good.
Yeah.
And if it didn't get nerfed, it's even better. So
yeah.
It's a little unfortunate there.
Yeah, Dreadshell's put a comment in basically talking about view range. He makes a good point. Basically, everything on view range is burned through. The 445 is a hard limit to actually spotting the guy. So, yeah, that's true. And anything over 445 is burned through, and it's the calculations based on the range. There's a lot going on there, but
there's a lot of numbers and everything.
Yeah.
Again, I don't stress about the math. I just make sure I know how it works. I'm more practical than theoretical.
Yeah.
You can tell me how to do something. I would much rather just go do it.
Yeah, I tend to learn some of the mechanics and then forget them and have to relearn them because I don't pay too close attention to it.
There are people asking me all the time, "Hey, what's the bush distance?" 15 meters, I think.
Make it go solid. Make it go solid.
Like,
that's all I want.
That's what I do. Oh, I can't see through it. Now I know where to shoot from.
Though, there's the switch that will put it to where it's either you can see through it or it's solid. There's the other one where it's a little bit gradual. There is a point where it starts to get dark and you're not far enough back. I've found that out multiple times.
Yeah, no, when I was doing the 260 campaign grind, I got Prova Corva my very first game for the LT 15-4. And that's again another like 8K combined game. Like, you're supposed to get an insane amount of combined and everything. So I was like, okay, we can do this. So I got the E1 bush because there were no wheelie boys to race me there.
Right.
So I get in there and I just sit. But I'm just like, all right, we're gonna get comfortable and hang out. So I did. And I racked up like 5K spotting, just sitting in that bush, yada yada. Like, I was doing great. And I look out, and there was T30 that was essentially had stalled the push all by himself. Like, the one line was pretty much clear, but there's one T30 in the middle. Nobody was pushing past him. He was really strong up, and I was like, do I take this shot? It's a T30. That's right. I'm probably not going to hurt him, or I'll miss. You know what? Let's take the shot. So I very slowly position myself, look to the right. The bush that's facing the enemy is now dark. Look forward. It's now dark. And I lined up, hit him, killed him because I pinned his side. I was like, oh, okay, great. Very happy. So I'm very keen on be very careful with your bushes, especially. Yes. Yeah. Like, that E1 spot is so dangerous to shoot out of. But when it works, you are rather ferocious.
The one people miss is the too distant, right? You need to shoot a guy here, but someone's here. You need to look at both.
You gotta make sure you're set on both.
Because you may not.
I make that mistake more often than not, unfortunately. I'm like, there's multiple bushes. We gotta watch all sides. Like, right, the enemy might be on the side too.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made when suddenly a grill puts his hug into your body, and you're like, oh, yeah, that hurt a lot.
Oh man! All right, gold ammo. What do you think?
I hate that the game's balanced around it. I really do.
Yeah.
So I said this way back in the day, and I'll say it again. I thought the old Type 5 Heavy was fine. And I mean it, and everyone's going to be like, no, Trobs, you're wrong. And let me explain why. So I am an old school player. We've covered this. I've been playing since beta. I've been playing since the only option for tier 10s was the IS-7 and the mouse, okay?
Yep.
So I know what it's like to fight a tank that you can't penetrate. It's real easy to beat a tank like the mouse or the Type 5 Heavy. And everyone does it. The problem is, let me take a step back before I get into this. The average player in this game is bad, and this is an attack on people. It's just the fact of statistical averages. The average player in this game is bad. So I don't blame people for not thinking this, because most people aren't putting in the effort to like, oh, tactical thinking my tanks. Most people just drive, boom, boom, fun, right?
Right.
That's fine. I'm not mad about that. I just want to make the statement coming from that place.
But it's a fact that it needs to be recognized.
Yes. There's a fact that needs to be recognized before I make my statement about the Type 5. The Type 5 was totally fine. The problem with the Type 5 was not that its big gun was big boomy or its armor was hard to pin or anything like that. The problem is everyone has gotten used to just being able to go straight through the front of every tank in the game.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So the old Type 5, everyone was just mad because it was so hard to pin even with gold rounds to the front, and it had the big boomy cannon. Everyone's like, oh, this is bull, blah, 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 blah. I remember having to play against mice and IS-7s and everything else where you couldn't go through the front. I played without gold rounds for a long time. I became a Unicum without ever using gold rounds because they weren't an option.
Because they cost money, actual money.
Real money.
Yeah,
I'm not shooting actual money. That's not going to happen.
That's how I started, absolutely.
So when it comes to a Type 5, all I think of as a Type 5 is we'll be back later. If you're on a map, my favorite example.
I'll see you later.
My favorite example is Redshire. So for those that can't picture it, Redshire is the American map. There's a little bitty town over on one side. There's a little thing that goes to the little town in the middle that goes down to the southern base. There's hills everywhere. But the big part of the map is the Zeppelin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big old Zeppelin and a castle. I guess it's not American because there's a castle.
There's a castle, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it is a European map. But anyway, castle on the west end, Zeppelin on the east end. So naturally on that map, everyone goes to the Zeppelin in a heavy tank. Like you will see every heavy tank, every big gun go to that Zeppelin. I never go there in a Type 5 if I play my Type 5. I never go there if there's a Type 5 on the enemy team. And the answer is real simple. I don't want to have to sit there and try to pin their armor all day because I don't want to have to default to gold rounds. I save a lot of money by not defaulting to gold rounds. Now, obviously, when I'm doing like go farm so much damage, I'm going to flip gold on and we're going to go farm my damage and be done. But if I'm fighting, say, a platoon of Type 5s on Redshire or Himmelsdorf or wherever, I'm going anywhere they're not.
Yeah.
And the reason is simple. You kill all their friends, there's no way in the world 3 Type 5s are winning a battle. You just, if it's 12 versus 3, like, that's all they manage to take out, they're going to lose every time. They don't fire fast enough. They're not going to run fast enough. Their armor's not going to keep them alive when they're surrounded. They're not a good tank. They were a good tank when they were strong. It's not a good tank anymore.
Yeah.
So the reliance on gold ammo, I think, has hurt the game because we get tanks like that everyone is so reliant on just being able to go straight through it every time that now it's useless. I mean, the mouse, the E100, the 60 TP, all these tanks, like everyone's like, oh, you have to use gold on them. Yeah, you don't have to use gold on them. They're so slow, you just don't fight them. And when they're alone, congratulations, they're real easy to kill.
Yeah,
getting a super heavy alone is wonderful. I had a game on Mountain Pass the other day where an E3 and a mouse pushed into our base, and like everyone on my team was panicking. The chat was like blowing up because everyone's like, "Oh God, blah blah blah! We should have had more help." Me and his scout tank killed him. I was in my STV, and he was in a, I think, T100. And
they never saw you.
Well, it's just the scout tank got up against the mouse. And I got behind the E3. The mouse was so concerned with the E3 or with the T100 that he can't shoot because it's too small.
Yeah.
And the E3 is so concerned with me that we just spun him in circles.
Yeah.
And we both survived and saved our base. It's like, you don't have to face them head to head. Like we did, but we also used our advantages to do so. If you're in a corridor facing a Type 5 and you're in a soft, heavy, or medium, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
The number one tip I can tell people, if you can go somewhere else, go. You don't have to fight.
Absolutely.
Find a better position.
Hey, Zoe, how you doing? Thanks for coming by. You know, one thing I see a lot of mistakes, you mentioned the maneuvering thing. I see that a lot, actually, with new players and not good players. reference what you said earlier. It's not me insulting people, just saying people aren't that good.
Yeah, people
is that close in fighting. Sometimes you see, especially like casemate TDs where people just keep spinning, and you're going, would you please just scrape him off on a wall? Get
Right.
against something. Stop letting him get. And you watch him, you just want to pull your hair out. You're like, come on, get to the wall, or use a dead Hulk, or use a rock, or whatever.
Positioning maneuverability is something that a lot of people take for granted. Like you play something fast and then you jump into something slow and forget that the tank's not immobile. You can move. I was playing. I have the Russian mission going on to do double my hit points, which is rough in tier 8 through 10. You pretty much need to play a tier 8 TD.
Right.
So I've been playing the 152K because why not? I got in a game the other day and I was at like 3K damage. I was doing great, and then it was just me. I'm all alone. And T-44 rolls up on me, tracks me. I pop my repair, and I immediately position myself to block him off from getting behind me because I got a wall. And he unfortunately got another track on me, but I was like, he was this close, and I would have been able to shoot him, finish him, and at least gotten a kill. I was like, dang it. But the number of times you see someone just try to turn and just keep spinning in a circle in an E3 or something, rather than put their butt on the wall and just...
Right.
I mean, I take advantage of it all the time when I fight casemates. So
sure, yeah. When I bring my fast tanks in and start circling, doing things like that, I always get bum out when I notice they know what they're doing. I'm like, oh, he's going to scrape me off this wall, and there's nothing I can do. And then you just see that big 750 Alpha just about to hit you. You're like, ah!
no, please. I actually, God, I wish I'd clipped it, saved it, etc. There was a game ages ago where it was like me versus an E3 T95. I don't remember. It was a big gun. That was it. That was all that was left. And it was on Ruinberg. There was no way I was going to be able to cap because they were in the little fountain area. So either way, they were going to be able to get back to base before I could cap. So I had to kill them. And they weren't moving. They knew that this was a stalemate. So I scouted them, flipped around to the other side of the map, and then tried to come up behind them. Well, it basically became a game of don't get shot because I was about to die. And I managed to juke the crap out of this guy. It was like watching some guy get his ankles broken in basketball. He knew he was going to get me. Like, I had nowhere to go. He had me trapped. And I just reversed it, gunned it the other way. And he was so shocked, had no idea that was coming, fired a shot, missed, and I was able to finish him off. But I was like, oh, that was a big risk.
I like that part of the game, man. And like you talked about it earlier, where being aggressive, that's how I learned. I had a guy once tell me, it was a platoon, or not a platoon, but a clan I was in. He said, Guido, you are the most aggressive Unicum I have ever seen. He's like, you will drive an RHM into the front with the heavies and start poking people in the face. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I like playing the game that way. I want to drive my tank forward and I want to scrap. I want Yep.
I used to play the I don't remember the name of the map anymore, but it was the snowy Asian map with it had a lot of corridors on it. A big hill in the middle. I don't remember the name of it anymore. And a castle on the east side. Anyway, I just remember playing that map all the time in my Roomba when I was going through it, the RHM, with the 150 on it, and just like the corners, either by the castle.
I know what you're talking about.
Just sit back far enough so they're not going to proxy you. Yeah. They poke around that corner and 150 millimeter right in their side. They're like, ah! I got you.
So, what's your favorite part of the game, man? What's the thing that brings Trobs back to this game all the time? You mentioned you do come back all the time, but what is it? If you distilled it down to one thing.
Honestly, again, it's fun to drive a tank. I mean, even if you're not in the military, tanks are these awesome beasts. You go out there and you're like, I'm a tank. This is so cool. Yeah. And I love that feeling. I mean, it's a feeling, unfortunately, that it's hard to replicate in real life. So this is the closest you can do. And I've played War Thunder. I've played Armored Warfare. I've played these other games, and just it doesn't feel the same. This game is arcadey enough to where it's fun without it being completely over the top. Like, I've played arcadey tank games. They're all right. But it's still got some semblance of realism. You still have to try. Like, being a good shot means you're better. I mean, you're probably going to be okay if you're a half decent shot. You know the right positioning, etc. You're not punished for trying to play well in this game, unlike some other games where, you try to take a good position. Don't care, you're dead.
Yeah.
for all of its faults, the game still is interesting and fun. It still provides a challenge. The missions are interesting. The T-49 exists. Things like that.
Do you have any kind of structured way that you go about trying to learn how to be better? Not just at the game, but really everything. What's your philosophy for practicing or getting better, or how do you?
My philosophy is the golden philosophy is you suck. The first step to being good at anything is the realization that you suck.
Yeah,
it's truly like the idea that you're going to be good at something right away is asinine and terrible. Like the odds of somebody grabbing that guitar from behind me, picking it up and just being able to play, astronomical. You have to be a savant, and honestly, I don't want to be a savant.
Yeah.
No offense to someone who's a savant, generally not the best thing to be. Sure, you're great at guitar, but you might suffer in other ways. I don't want to be like that. I prefer to try to be a well-rounded individual.
Yeah, that's great.
And so,
yeah.
Realizing I suck at guitar is my first step to being a better guitar player. Realizing I suck in games is the first step to being a better game player. And I mean, I'm 36 years old, and I still play pretty decently well in most games I play. I'm not going to be like, I'm the best, but I win more than I lose in almost any game I play. I generally perform well in any game I play. So, and since this is my hobby, I want to do well in it. I'm not going to get mad at anyone if I suck.
Yeah.
I mean, I might get a little irritated if a tank pushes me out into fire, obviously. I might get a little irritated if I get RD'd every single game in a row in Super Conqueror when I'm just trying to farm damage. I just want my damn 279. Please, God, stop shooting me, Artie.
Those missions are driving me crazy, by the way. I might lose my mind trying to do those.
And it wouldn't be so bad if you didn't have to do things in a row.
Yeah.
That's killing me. Do 3,500 in a row, 3,500, 2K.
I'll tell you, I look at those missions, and I'm a pretty good player, man. I mean, I'm definitely better than most, not as good as some. But I look at those missions and I go, some of those things I don't do 1 in 100 battles. How am I going to put 3 of those in the next 5? And then I look at some people who have the tank. I'm like, how did they do that? I actually feel like, well, maybe because I'm going to be honest with you. I actually feel like I'm not going to be able to do it. It's crazy.
I haven't looked too deep through them yet, and I mean, between my air conditioning dying and just general life stress, I haven't been able to play as much as I'd like to push on the 279 missions. It's on my to-do list in the next few weeks. Dedicate stream time, and just I want to get some missions done. I want to chunk these bad boys out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are. I'll say this: they're really good challenge for high-level players. The problem is their design is to be an unneeded grind. It's like the Frontlines grind. The Frontlines grind is just too steep, man. I get it. Just bring it down. Just bring the curve down a little, just a tiny bit. Same thing with 279 missions. A little bit drop would be fine. Like the ones where it's like do this out of so many missions are fine. Do 3,503 missions. That's a challenge, and I know I can do it. But man, it is very dependent on your team not being just terrible
and maps to some extent.
Like I said, I've been playing the STB a lot because it's a really good damage farming tank. And the number of games I've gotten into where I get a great position, farm up like 2,000 damage in the first 2 minutes, and then I notice that the entire other flank of the team is dead, and they're pushing us, and there's no way I'm going to be able to fire my gun 5 more times.
I know.
Just want to finish the mission.
I do that on stream all the time. I'll be playing, and then I'll look at the minimap and go, where did everybody go?
Yeah, that happened the other day. We were on oh god, I'm so bad with maps. It's the one. It's like the plains of Mongolia.
You know, my problem is because I go into the files and I do all the replay stuff. They have different names. That's what drives me crazy.
Names. Yes, it drives me insane.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a replay. I go by the tank name because if I go by the map name, I never find.
Exactly.
But anyway, I was on that map, and we had that east push. There's always the TD sitting in the back behind the bushes, and it's a death trap. Well, all of our heavies decided we're going to push into those TDs. We got 3 TDs. They got all of our heavies. And so we're like, I'm out. They still had plenty more behind them, so we just bounced. Teams yelling at us and screaming, like, what do you want me to do? I'm an STB that's taking 3 shots. I'm dead. Like, come on, guys.
The heavies
How about you guys stop driving into death? It's not like they didn't know they were there. I got smacked getting into position. You knew they were waiting.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest themes I'm hitting on right now for people. In my estimation, if you're a 50% player somewhere around it, if you mechanically win your flank and then go back to cap, I know there's a lot of nuances in there, but let's just break something down that really doesn't have an on-off or a analog, but this almost does. If you just all the time won your flank and went back to cap, you would increase your win rate. Too many people just drive to the enemy cap and get schwacked by the TDs.
And they get killed by TDs, or
already
they get slowed down enough that the enemy team is able to come cap. Empire's Border, that one is notoriously bad for that on either side. People go north, and the north on that map is basically useless because it's so far away from everything else. You can't provide support fire.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get up there. Just don't go north on Empire's Border. Go to the middle if you want. Don't go north. And by the time all the tanks get done fighting in the north, the south is won either way.
Yep.
And it's game over. Or the other alternative that happens is the south is won and they just push through while the guys in the north are already in your base because that's where all the fast tanks are and nobody goes back to defend. Defend your base. Just go defend the base. So frustrating. And those are the worst is when you're like, I need to win this battle. And you're having a great game. And you realize that they're capping. You're like, there's no way I can stop that cap. And you watch the T-49 and the 907 and the EBR. You're like, guys, base! You're not going to out-cap them. What are you doing? And they just keep driving to their base. You're like, oh, no.
And you're in your 110E3 trying to get there, and you just know it's not going to happen.
I can't make it. This is dumb. Why? Yeah.
Well, hey, man.
Every time.
Dude, I appreciate you coming by, man. This is a great conversation. I like the live thing and answer a few questions as we go. I do appreciate it. So I always give everybody a chance at the end. Give us TrobsMonkey's best philosophy, whether it's about the game or life, whatever you want to throw out there, man.
I will give you the philosophy I've tried to spread more and more lately. You may or may not know I'm a political animal. I very much live in politics. And while I am a political animal, and I'll be honest, I'm a very left-leaning person. I'm not going to dig into that. I'm just giving you my statement.
Yeah.
I think the world would be a lot better with a lot more empathy. So being left-leaning is very ingrained in my empathy because I was raised in the church. I was raised that we should take care of others, no matter who they are, and it should be good. And the reason I bring up the political side of things is the world is very tight, especially in America. Everyone's a bit on edge. So I say use empathy, listen to other people. Because it'll make you feel better in games. It'll make you feel better in your relationships. It'll make you feel better when you read something in the news and you go, that's so stupid. Why would they do that? Empathize with people. Realize that people have things going on and the world sucks sometimes. And sometimes things are just going to be bad. And it's okay to be angry about something. It's not okay to be mad at someone for something that you have no full context on and you don't have the details. And you're just... Yeah, you can be upset. You be like, wow, that is stupid. How could that happen? But then realize that the world, again, is not a bubble. These things don't happen in a vacuum. So bring your empathy to everything you do. You'll feel better as a person. Mostly because you're not going to be angry all the time. I mean, I'll admit, I get angry plenty. But I'm not like, my anger is usually directed at something that happened in a game. I'll be honest, I don't get angry in the world hardly at all. It's really hard to upset me in real life. In video games, it's more just like, I can't do anything to stop the death.
Yeah.
I don't get mad at people in game. I get mad at events in game
that
are outside of my control.
Hate the game, not the player, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're a hacker, that's a total different conversation.
Oh, yeah, jeez.
If you're one of the small handful of people who have told me they go out of their way to target me explicitly when they play World of Tanks, if you jumped in the Lakeville Lake, I would not be upset. But... just emphasize with people on this.
Your empathy does have some bounds.
Yeah, I'm very empathetic. There are limits. There are certain places where I'm like, all right, you're just an idiot.
Yeah,
but I always try to listen. I always try to understand where people are coming from and not simply be angry all the time. Just because you disagreed with me doesn't mean I should be angry with you. Just because you said I was wrong doesn't mean I should angry. Why am I wrong? Now, again, there are limits. There are certain people that I won't talk to. I have family members that I will not talk to anymore. for certain reasons. there are people that I have cut out of my life because they said things that were so astronomically bad that I can't forgive them for it. So
right.
There are limits to everything, but just in general, realize people are coming from things that you may not know about. I mean, hell, man.
Yeah.
I've been unemployed since December. I'm stressed to my eyeballs at this point, but I still try my damnedest to listen to people. And if your first reaction is to be mad at someone over anything, you should probably take that advice to heart and just go, maybe I should calm down a wee bit on the outrage.
That's great, man. Great. Little empathy, guys. Little empathy. Hey, Trobs, thanks again for coming by. Everybody who came by, appreciate you guys. This is pretty cool. We'll try to do this again with some of the other CCs. I'm going to wrap this up, and we will edit it and get it out as a video as well. Trobs, it'll be out next week. For everybody who came by the stream, thank you so much. I appreciate all the follows, the subs, the things that, and all that good stuff. And we're going to wrap it up. So, Trobs, say goodbye to the people. This is Guido saying goodbye.
Hey, thanks, folks, for watching. If you ever want to talk to me about anything, I love talking. I am a very outgoing person, so my DMs are open on Discord and Twitter and everything else. Come reach out to me if you ever want to just talk. I have no problem with that.
When the video comes out, all his links will be down below on the video, so you can check that out. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks.